Okay, so I've got myself today. I don't know how entertaining that'll be, but we're super excited still. Look at me. Today, my friend was supposed to be here to talk about photography, and she's an award-winning photographer, Eve Hannah and I'm sure she'll come back and be with us sometime, but you guys get the B team. So I've owned a photography studio for 15 years here in Springfield, and I do a lot of work still with that. And so one of the things people always say to me, let me see if I can get this shared, and I don't know that people understand what they're saying when they say it, but they always say, oh, you take good pictures, you must have a nice camera. Well, I do have a nice camera, but today I'm going to show some tips and tricks. And because I didn't have much notice, we don't have any real models. So we're just going to go. And so the models are me. So bad. So that's a great picture. I bet you have a really nice camera. It doesn't really matter what kind of camera you have. If you can see it, you can make a nice picture with all kinds of different things. I've had really cheap cameras. I've got 4 or 5 cameras right now that I can use. I've had great big cameras quit during a shoot and I've had to switch out and finish them with a $200 camera. And you can't tell as long as you know what you're doing and you're looking for specific things. So I'm going to share some things with you. The pictures that I took in this slideshow today, with the exception, I believe, of one, were all taken with a cell phone. So that's to give you an idea, because I thought, you know, that's not really fair to share a bunch of stuff that people don't have the equipment. So the first thing is rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is applied by aligning a subject with the guidelines and the intersection points. And then you place the horizon on the top or on the bottom line. So that's like one of the first things they teach you in a photography class. Oh, do the rule of thirds. I use it all the time. A lot of times people will use a rule of thirds and do what's called a California crop and cut the top of somebody's heads off. Sometimes they do it on purpose and they don't know, or they know, and sometimes they don't do it and that people just really like it. It's a thing. But here is a picture that has been right in the center, and it's not got a rule of thirds. And you can see this bottom is the exact same picture, but it's more interesting because it is. And so here's how this is a rule of thirds. I didn't take any of these 3 pictures because I couldn't find anything to split down that already had the lines. These are the intersecting lines. And if you can put it in the left-hand part or the right-hand part, and you can see that the horizon is right in the bottom. So the horizon's either on the bottom or the top, and that makes it the rule of thirds. So I took both of these pictures here. I guess, are you guys seeing the whole thing? How about that? I took both of these pictures. The top one's at Disney, and you can see the Polynesian, the monorail runs through it. You can see it's in the rule of thirds. So the bottom part, it's on the bottom horizon. And then this famous bridge here is the Roebling Bridge outside of Cincinnati. I did an engagement shoot. If you see me in Zoom sometimes on my other computer, that's the bridge that's the background. That's the one picture that is in here that I believe it was not taken with a cell phone. I'm not quite sure. I couldn't tell by the what I had in there. So the horizon, it's in the right side of the third, and then the horizon is on the bottom again. All of these photos have the rule of thirds in it. You'll see the one on the left with New York. It's got it in both the top and the bottom. And then you've got the middle, it's just kind of open, and that's the Hudson River. And then in the top through the bus window with the rain, that's actually where you can see the Stonehenge sunset. Once a year, the sun lines up exactly. It's not during then, but I knew that's where we were, so I took a little snapshot of it. And then on the bottom left, the majority of the picture is in the bottom part, and the horizon runs on the bottom. So the tops, you see the thirds on the sides, and then the wedding pavilion at Disney and the one of New York, that's coming in. Actually, that's coming in off a bus coming in through the city. It's just a really tall one. Something else I try to do is interesting angles. And a lot of people don't pay much attention to angles. They just take a picture and go straight on. You can go low, high, wide, switch it up. Most people just take a picture straight out. And you'll see people with their cell phone cameras. But it starts getting entertaining when it starts adding to an angle. Like if a woman uses a camera, I use a cell phone always up almost to my right because that's a better angle for me and I look thinner. So the higher you get, the thinner your face looks and the more shapely you look. And you'll see the ones I did of me in here, it's pretty, you'll be able to see and tell the difference. So you've got ground level, knee level. The angle when I use a lot, the Dutch angle from the right-hand side up into the corner. And then aerial, a lot of people take pictures with the flying, I can't even think they're what they're called now. But you can do the aerial pictures. They're not really expensive to buy at this moment. So you can do, yes, the drones. Now my husband wants like a really expensive one. I don't know. He doesn't even own a camera, so I don't know why he thinks that he wants a drone, but we'll see.
Because they're cool.
They're also one wrong landing and they're shot. Diagonal lines. This is the other thing that I use all the time in my pictures, which is the corners of the photo, and you draw an imaginary diagonal line. I didn't take this picture either. The one I always use, and I cannot find it for the life of me, is from when I was on Big Time Wrestling, and my parents insisted that I needed to stop getting on television, which is a really entertaining story about some time that I worked at a movie studio. But I took pictures of the lines of the ring ropes, and they're a perfect example coming from the quarters. So I will find the picture from the wrestling match. On the left, this is actually a video. I'm not going to play it because the train thinks that I am going to step onto the tracks, and so he starts blowing his horn. He gets all weirded out. There's actually a subway car coming down. But you can see the diagonal lines coming from the corner. So you can do it in video and in still pictures. So you have it coming from the corner, both at the bottom left. I usually use the bottom, either the bottom left or the bottom right. But you can use the top, and they're just as interesting. This picture here, you can see it going to the bottom left. You see that diagonal line, and you could, the Roebling arch shows right in it. So that's a really good example. This picture, the couple, after they got engaged, bought this picture at 48 inches by, no, bigger than that, 68 inches. It was more than 5 foot. We had to have it specially printed. And then they called the engagement off, and she refused to give the picture back because she said she'd give back the ring, but she wasn't giving back the Cincinnati picture. So it was almost the whole wall size. I had to get it printed somewhere special. Down at the bottom is my Aunt Della, and this is inside the Trade Center. I had two, but pictures. One, the lines aren't lined up from the corners, and you can tell. And it's just really, really irritating when you look at the photo. But you can see the two lines. This is where the towers used to stand. It's the shopping center that's now there. So you can see them coming in. If I were to have taken this picture with my real camera, I would have dropped it in and cropped it up and made those lines perfect. And it would have been, oops, we probably don't want to see that. These two pictures, also, you can see the water, and then you can see the diagonal line, both from the left and from the right. These are in Gatlinburg at Anakista. Both cell phone pictures, both with leading lines from the corners diagonally. You can even see the diagonal all the way through it. It's almost like an X and the one on the left. So, I have a lot of fancy lights. I show you a fancy light, I think coming up. I don't know, this might be out of thing, but you don't need a fancy light. These are, we call them chicken warmers, but I have like 4 of them. You can put a regular light in. This is at Walmart currently for $6.47. You can clip it right on your computer. You can add light to just about anything. If you needed a video light, if you needed, now cell phone lights that go on the tops and the little circles, they're super cheap. But when they first came out, they were not that cheap. So this is a really cheap way to add light in. Another way to do it is if you're somewhere that is, most people have cell phones, most parents have cell phones. So if you're taking a picture outside of your kiddo and you're trying to get your cell phone to take it, but it doesn't really want to, if the other person turns on the flashlight from the photo, from the cell phone, you can use the flashlight, one to take and one to light. And that's a really good tip when you're trying to take pictures outside in Christmas lights, because you want to put the light on the face, and then you put the one take with the picture, and then the other one should put the light on the face. So this right here is what's called an highlighter. You'll see this later because I used it in Pam's video. And I couldn't find the extra picture of actually how dark my face is when we start. But this is a really expensive highlighter. Larry Peters is a famous photographer from around here. He designed and created it. He's actually a good friend of mine. He's done pictures of me, and we've worked together on different things. And I know his daughter and his son-in-law really well. So this is actually an highlighter. It bounces the light from above up onto the face. You can do the same exact thing with a Dollar Tree sunshade or tinfoil. I got a super good deal on that. It's the only reason I own one. But you can stretch out that sunshade and use it as a reflector, and it will bounce light from the sun, from the room, from the chicken warmer, right onto your picture. Everybody ought to have really good Christmas card pictures this year. So this is me, obviously. It's crooked because I'm holding, you can even see the light on my arms, on the bottom of my arms right here, and you can see the light. The highlighter has lit my entire face up. The other picture, you can see the shadows on my face, but it must be on my work cell phone because I took a picture of it dark. So I'll apologize for just crazy one. So right here, so I have a lot of crazy stuff in the studio, but a lot of it's just not really expensive. So that background that you saw in the picture are tiles, and I have a whole carpeted wall, and those are 12 by 12 tiles, and they stick together, and I can change them out. I can put things on it. But what is right behind this picture is actually like wrapping paper. And the ones on the left, you can see gold, which one year I think we used for the Shawnee cheerleaders. And then you can see the pink, which I've used for senior pictures, and on the blue one we've used for the Springfield Wildcat band, some band senior pictures one year too. There, it's taped to foam core. You can tell down at the bottom here, it's just taped to foam core and leaned up, and that picture is exactly after the other picture. So here's the picture of me outside. You can tell that my hair is actually fixed prior to that. And then I realized, oh, I don't have air in the studio. This is going to be really sweaty. So that's a picture of me this morning with the angle. So you can see the angle, and you can see I look a whole lot thinner from that angle versus straight on. And then I changed the color. And then on the bottom's what it actually looks like behind my house, because I actually have a gap because my husband hasn't got that other piece up yet. So you can actually put them, you can photograph on anything. And I'm a super big fan of, I think Springfield is really cool and a really beautiful place. So I photograph all kinds of off the wall things. This was a first thing this morning in my pond. We have lily pads. You can see the one going from the diagonal. The one on the left, though, you can see the reflection. I actually put a bowl in the water and put my cell phone camera down in the bowl upside down, and the camera part. So the camera's actually underwater for part of it. So it's where the horizon line is, where the lily pad is laying on the water. The camera is actually below the water. And you can, to further show, is that giant fish on the upper right. I have koi and other fish in my pond, and they're huge, and I couldn't get it just coming at me. They were just all over the place. So I have this really pretty picture of his scales. You don't get a good picture of his face. He wasn't that photogenic. So I shoot all over Springfield, and I think like I said, I think Springfield's a super beautiful place to take pictures. And we have a lot of murals. I take a lot of pictures with a lot of murals. Sometimes you can tell that it's a mural in the picture, and sometimes you cannot. And so what I did was I went through and took some pictures this morning in a 15-minute tour of the city. I'm sure people thought I was crazy. Places that I would normally take pictures. There was a homeless man asleep at the bottom of the stairs, so I have to do it off the angle. But a lot of people will take pictures at the roses, but they don't ever go down to where the this stairwell is, which is all the way in the back. And it actually has probably the best light. People think you have to take pictures in a lot of sunshine. I always look for the shade. You can, because you can always make pictures like a little bit lighter, and if you have shade, you'll get a more even skin tone. So the shade down in this area is a really pretty, and that's down behind Stella Blue. They just finished it. This, if somebody's looking for a 90s shoot and they're like, oh, I want to do it, because right now theme shoots are big for seniors. They want to do a 90s shoot. I always take them to the YMCA. It's a Project Jericho mural on the back of the YMCA. And it has all kinds of different things, and that's a close-up, obviously, of the eye of the little boy. And then those square mirrors, if you shoot it, you can't tell because I'm shooting it diagonally. My car is parked directly in front of those mirrors. So it's a good place. Also, easy to get to, free to the public. This is probably my most favorite hidden gem of all of downtown Springfield, places to take pictures. It looks like the trees there at the bottom. It's the 4 H's outside the A.B. Graham building. I have sold probably more pictures from this specific location as far as public locations of anything that I've ever sold. Some great big ones too. So there are 4 giant H's. They have the hand, head, heart logo there, but you can also, it has really, really good shade. So you have the industrial rust, and then you also have the plants on the backside. I think I put another picture. So this is all still under the A.B. Graham 4 H's, which is next to the A.B. Graham building. They have park benches, and you can get low and shoot it. This picture is of me with it, looks very jungly. So it goes from very urban to very jungly, and if you shoot off the other side, there's different plants that look very kind of more country. On the left is outside Cohatch. I just sold this picture in double-sided wallets with the girl standing on the little banister there. If you can tell, it's just a cropped-in version of this picture to the left. And I sold some giant ones of it also. And then on the right, I love the checkers mural. And if somebody brings all black and white, I shoot it with the blue on it because it's a nice color tone. And so that's on the back of the Regent Theater. And it's in the parking area of the Marriott downtown. This is the only place that is not public and easy to get to on the pictures that I put on there. And this is my friend's farm, and I shoot there and have shot pictures there for years. But it's in town, and there's like 5 or 6 different locations. So it also casts a giant shadow, so it doesn't matter what time of day. I think a lot of places, it's way easier. I had one more. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this right here is behind Carlton-Davidson Stadium. Kyle and I were just there the other day with Mark. If you go across the street from the Champion City King Stadium, you see this. If you go down the road just a tiny little bit, you see, which is right on the other side of this rock. You can walk there. You can't drive, but you just walk there. And to the left, it winds, and it's a Buck Creek. And to the right, you have this cool bridge and rocks that you can actually sit in, and there's a nice reflection, and it bends and winds. This bridge is you can actually get on the bridge and take pictures by just walking up. You can't, you would walk up this little thing right here. You can't actually see it from the road or from the parking lot, but yet again, it's another public park. So Springfield has a lot of really cool places to take pictures, and most of them are free and public. So it's a good opportunity to get out and take some iPhone pictures and take some pictures of your kiddos. And as you can see, you don't need a lot of fancy stuff. Let's see if I can unshare. You don't need a lot of fancy stuff. You can do it with an iPhone. So I can guarantee that Eve would have been far more entertaining. But does anybody have any questions?
So are you still actively doing photography?
I do. Probably once or twice a month. I've already got some weddings booked for fall.
Okay.
Usually the last week of September and the month of October and then the month of May are my big times. Just because of the way everything falls. So people want leaves. In Ohio, people want leaves. They want spring flowers. They want graduation pictures, and they don't pre-plan, so they wait till the last minute. And they want green and color, which sometimes in Ohio you have to get way into June to get that. So yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I didn't know some of those places were there. I didn't know that was next to the A.B. Graham Center.
Yeah, it's really, it's spectacular, and it's worth actually just going in there. There's a cool statue of A.B. Graham with some, like he's holding a ear cord, and he's got like 3 or 4 little kids. It's very reminiscent of the statue of Lewis Carroll in Central Park with the little kids in the book. But, and if you go all the way to the back where I had taken that snapshot of myself with the wall, there's also a corn fence, like a custom made, cut out of iron corn fence or something. It's really kind of cool. So
yeah. So did you go to school for photography, or did you learn by yourself?
That's a good question. I learned, so I've taken lots and lots and lots of classes. I've done some graduate work in photography, but I don't have a photography degree. So I had started taking pictures when I was 9, and I've had a camera. Generally, I travel with a camera, like a big camera. Anytime I'm out, there's usually a camera in my car. The best picture, which I don't know if I can get it, I took on the way. I had to drop my dog off at daycare the other morning, and I took an awesome picture. I was like, wow, that is a really, really cool picture in Snyder Park. And so I was showing my mom, I'm like, look at this great picture. She was like, where'd you take that? I said, with my phone in the park. So Snyder Park has really good light at multiple times a day. You can shoot there. Most people say you don't want to shoot between 12 and 3. Snyder Park, you can, because you can find places that have shade. And the shade is just super important. So that I was like, that would be really good to show an iPhone picture. I also have a friend who closed her studio. I'll have to email it to you guys. She closed her studio and moved to New York, and the main thing she shoots now is iPhone pictures. She works for a camera store, and her studio is wildly successful. So she just wanted a change, and now she has a whole Instagram feed of iPhone in Manhattan, and it's really kind of cool. So you can do a lot with iPhones, and so you don't have to have a great camera, or even an iPhone. You can use any kind of phone. You don't have to have a great camera.
iPhone in Springfield.
Yeah.
iPhone in Springfield.
There you go. That's it. You just have to you have to see it, and you can pretty much find it anywhere, and crop it in close and turn a little crooked and get some spectacular stuff. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for hanging out, even though it was our unscheduled. Bye.
Bye.